Hello and welcome to Jill Cameron Creations. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss a single video. Today we are rebooting a Mother's Day card.
It's almost Mother's Day, so I am making a Mother's Day card. Now, I made this card several years ago, and I actually sold a whole bunch of these because they were super popular. Everybody loved them. So I am going to recreate this card. Instead of pink and gray and white, I'm actually going to be doing this in navies and whites and grays and gold. So we're going to be using some basic gray, some smoky slate. And I'm going to be using Night of Navy. It's a scrap piece I have. And then I have my Copic markers to color my flower in. And we're going to be using a different background. This is the Altenew Shine Like a Diamond background. And then I'm going to be using some detail white embossing powder and Simon Says stamp. This is the antique gold embossing powder. So let's get started.
The first thing we're going to do is stamp our floral image here, and I'm using the Maker Forte Eclipse black ink. That is a Copic safe ink. I only have to stamp this stuff one time with this ink. It is amazing. It gives such good coverage. It's just gorgeous. I adjusted my camera angle so that you would be able to see how I'm coloring these flowers and the tip of my marker as I'm coloring. I'm using B39, B37, B34, and B32 for my colors, and I'm putting that darkest in the center of them and bringing the next darkest color up and doing some flicks a little bit higher up in the petals. I like to color my flowers and images one at a time now, and I do color from darkest to lightest and generally don't go back through my colors, not unless there is like on the V series of markers. Sometimes you have to go back through so that you don't lose any of your dark, because the lightest V color will bleach everything out. It's a weird little series of markers. And I went ahead and did this on all of my flowers, and I also did this on my green. For my darkest color on my green, I'm actually going to use black. So I'm going to finish up the coloring on this and just play a little bit of music in the background while I do that, because it's really simple Copic coloring, so just sit back and watch or follow along. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and die cut out this floral element here using the coordinating die. And then we're going to do the background, and we're going to gold heat emboss on dark gray cardstock. It is a beautiful, beautiful look. I've been into the navy gold and white thing here for a little while, and I just wanted to see how this card really looked with it. And I was so, so pleased with how it turned out. Very classy looking. I'm not going to use a stamping platform for this because it's such a large background stamp that I can leave it setting, and it's so detailed that it has enough heft to it that it doesn't like flop around. So I can actually just leave this laying on my mat, and I'm just going to grab a scrap piece of paper so that I can run my hand over all the back of it and make sure that the pattern goes where I need it to all over it. We are going to trim this down, so I really wasn't worried about the corners of it as much as I was the center of it. I'm going to use a stitched rectangle frame to trim this down just a little bit. Use a coffee filter under my embossing powder so that it's easy to funnel back in my little cup there. And I have some of the little rectangular containers that have like the snap sides on them for a couple of different embossing powders, but I'm perfectly happy using the same coffee filter over and over and over and over and over until it absolutely falls apart to do this with. Not a problem. So I'm heating up my heat tool right now, and my camera is going to focus on the back end of my heat tool, unfortunately, for a moment here, but it is absolutely gorgeous. Probably still one of my favorite things in crafting to do is to heat emboss, and when that heat gun hits that and melts that embossing powder on there, it's just so pretty. Look at that. Ah, gorgeous. So now we're just going to trim out our panel, and I'm going to use a stitched rectangle frame from My Favorite Things and find the right size that I want to use here. I think it's like about a 1/4 of an inch all the way around that I'm trimming off here. Basically use a little bit of washi tape to hold that down and run that through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cutting machine. So we've gotten this background piece die cut now, and we're going to go ahead and do the sentiment. And our sentiment, we are going to do white embossing powder on navy cardstock. You see those pearls sitting over here to the left, and those pearls continue to sit there because, well, I thought I was going to use them, but after I got this card together, I just didn't think that it needed anything else at all. I thought it was absolutely gorgeous the way that it was. So I ended up not using the pearls. This is a scrap piece of paper. I do keep larger scraps of pieces of paper so that I can use them for sentiments and such. I still haven't solved the method of storing scrap pieces of paper, and yeah, I have a whole basket full of them over here, and I don't know what to do with them. But anyway, that's a story for another day. Maybe I'll figure out something and share a miraculous invention with you. Who knows? So I'm using super fine detail white embossing powder, and I'm going to die cut that out. This is from the same stitched rectangle frames. It's nothing, it's not a special die or anything like that. It's just a stitched rectangle frame that just happens to fit. Sorry about my big head in the way there. And run that through the die cutting machine and die cut that, and then we're going to put our card together here. I'm going to glue the floral image down flat and then pop up the superhero mom sentiment on the front of the card, and I'm also going to pop up the back panel here. And that's going to be it. Pictures are at the end, and there's going to be a link to the blog post so you can check out the original card a little bit more and see how I created that one too. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to hit subscribe and come on by anytime. Y'all have a great day.